Well, listening to that was the Food, Farming and Fisheries Minister, Mark Spencer. Thank you for being with us. Welcome to the programme.
Pleasure.
So at PMQs, Rishi Sunak said he cancelled a planned meeting with the Greek Prime Minister because he was going to grandstand about the Elgin Marbles. Am I living in some kind of, am I living in some kind of parallel universe here?
Well, I mean, I think that the meeting would have been distracted by that issue. And you know how these things work, Sophie. There's a lot of work goes into those meetings in advance. There's an agreed agenda, what will be discussed and what will be talked about. And, of course, there's an agreed agenda, what won't be discussed. And I think there was an agreement that that wouldn't be raised. That topic had been dealt with, and we didn't want to be distracted by that topic being raised. And then I think, unfortunately, and I think that proves the point. Actually, that just proves the point that now that's all that people are talking about, because that issue would have distracted the whole purpose of the meeting. And there are lots of important issues.
We're talking about it because you cancelled the meeting. Not
well,
because
I mean, he offered to the Deputy Prime Minister to meet with them. But Greece is a very important partner of ours, and we do value our relationship with the Greeks. We have shared challenges. Not least of all global migration and NATO and climate change. So they're an important ally to us. And of course, we want to continue that relationship and work with them in the future.
Do you accept that important relationship with all those shared issues that you just mentioned? Do you accept that's been damaged?
No, I think of course we can get over this and we continue that relationship with them. They're an important ally of ours.
Has it been damaged?
So I think it's not been helped by the topic, and I think it was a mistake by the Greek Prime Minister to raise that so publicly as he did. But we're big enough to get over that, and we'll continue working with our friends in Greece.
Just last month, Rishi Sunak went to Saudi Arabia to meet Mohammed bin Salman. How's Saudi Arabia's human rights record?
Well, clearly it's not as good as it should be. And as a friendly ally to Saudi Arabia, we need to use our influence with our friends to influence and to try and to improve that.
So what's more important then, do you think, the mass murder of 81 men in 2022, or, it being illegal to be gay, or the fact that someone made a few comments about some marbles at 2,000 years old?
Well, I think with our relationship with Saudi Arabia, we need to use our influence.
I mean, you could use your influence with the Greek Prime Minister of the Elgin Marbles, right?
No, I think that issue is not worthy of discussion. That is a settled issue. There are many more things we need to talk to Greece about and work with them as close allies and neighbours, which is why the Deputy Prime Minister was offered to meet them. But that relationship is ongoing. We'll continue to cooperate with our friends in Greece in the future.
I honestly don't get why his comments are such a big deal. I mean, he just made some comments in an interview. It's not like he stormed the British Museum to seize back the
I think,
marbles.
as I said, there is a set agenda that is established over many weeks. Before you have a meeting of that nature where two prime ministers meet, the two, if you like, support bodies for those governments get together and agree what we're going to talk about, what we're not going to talk about.
You just mentioned it in an interview. You believe in free speech, don't you?
Well, of course, it's entirely up to him, but we'd agreed not to talk about that, and it would have been distracting had that been raised. And I think that point has been proved. It has been very distracting. Now, there are many other things that we need to talk to Greece about, and that relationship will be ongoing, and we can move forward.
Do you think it makes the Prime Minister look a bit petty?
No, I think actually the Prime Minister believes in saying what you mean and standing by your word. And he no, we agreed that was not going to be raised, and he raised that topic in the media. Now, I think the Prime Minister is a pretty straight guy who stands by what he says, and there was an agreement not to discuss that topic. But let's move forward. Let's carry on. That moment is gone, but we'll continue working with our friends in Greece.
OK, let's move forward. You're here to talk about the search for a new national park ahead of COP. What's the idea? Well,
a new national park somewhere in England. I think it's an exciting prospect. I mean, lots of communities now are quite excited by that, about putting their own area forward. And I think it's a celebration, actually, of the beautiful landscapes that we have within the UK. And I think there'll be lots of areas thinking about whether they can put a bid forward, and we'll see where the competition goes.
It is a beautiful sort of country, isn't it? A wonderful landscape. Have you got any kind of favourite national parks yourself or favourite regions?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm quite close to the Peak District, so that obviously is a very beautiful part of the UK. I mean, I love them all, to be honest. I quite like Exmoor. I go down there quite a bit with the family, and the Lake District is also beautiful. But the danger of naming these is you upset those that you've not named, isn't it? But yeah, we are blessed with beautiful landscapes here in the UK, actually sculpted by our farmers and land managers over generations who've kept us well fed, given us lots of food, but also created those beautiful landscapes at the same time.
Nottingham Council has gone bust. One of several councils who have had financial difficulties.
Yeah.
Do councils need more money?
Well, I mean, interesting, isn't it, that in their press release they didn't mention the tens of millions they wasted on Robin Hood Energy, where it went bust. They didn't mention the tens of millions they wasted on redeveloping the Broadmarsh Shopping Centre, which has now gone bust and is now derelict and half built. These are catastrophic wastes of taxpayers' money that Nottingham City Council have undertaken. That's why they're in financial trouble, because they've not been concentrating on getting the books right on the really important stuff, like looking after adult social care, keeping their libraries open and supporting their schools.
So do councils have enough money then, in your view?
So I think if you compare to Conservative-run councils up and down the country, of course, they're all under pressure. We're all under financial pressure, and there are some challenges out there. But what you find is you don't have these sort of white elephant projects that we've seen from Labour councils. And it's not just Nottingham, of course. You know, Birmingham City Council, exactly the same, Labour-run. Liverpool Council, Labour-run. They just can't seem to manage their own budgets.
I want to talk to you about the COVID inquiry, which is continuing, of course, because you appeared in it, according to the diary of Sir Patrick Vallance, the Chief Scientific Officer, back in December 2020. According to him, you said, I think we should let the old people get it, as in COVID, and protect others. Is that true?
So I said exactly, diametrically, the opposite of that. We were approaching Christmas, and there was a discussion at Cabinet where I said, why can't we just put a steel ring around elderly, vulnerable and immunosuppressed people and let everybody else have a normal Christmas? Now, I think either Patrick misheard that at the time, or miswrote it at the time, or has misread those notes, because I said diametrically opposite to that. Now, interestingly, the Prime Minister then commented in Patrick's notes, which said he'd heard that view from backbenchers, that we should just protect the elderly and the vulnerable and let because at the time, you know, I've got kids in their 20s at home. Lots of those young people were not getting COVID, had clocked the fact they weren't getting COVID, and lots of them were not obeying those rules as they should have been. And I think...
you don't want to get your kids in it.
No, I've got... Well, we had some fairly robust conversations at home, actually, because obviously that would have put me in a difficult place. But I think, you know, I think there was an argument at that time that those who were less affected should have been carried on with their life in a more normality, but protect the most vulnerable.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Good to have you on the programme.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.